give me permission to share, because I think that they changed the setting now that you need to get special permission to share anything. We'll see how it's going to work. I kind of tweaked the slides in the last 45 minutes really to make sure it has enough contents for you guys, but not too much. If you have any questions, how do you want to do that, guys? Yosef and Nico, do you want to do it at the end? Do you want to do it in the middle, or type it in? What do you want?
So we could save some questions in the end, but if you have a question right away, you could type in, and at the right moment, we'll introduce the questions.
Okay, great. So I'm going to share my slide with you, and I'm going to just minimize this in here. Oops, that went back. Let me just see if I can go back. Yeah. Sorry, it's a bit funny, but. All right, multifamily investing from out of states and overseas. Why is it doing it automatically? Let me just check. The first thing I want to mention is that I've been investing out of area for most of my career, really. So I'm an American citizen. I was born and raised in Israel, but my mother is originally from Chicago, and she married my dad, and they moved to Israel, nearly 60 years ago now. So I was born and raised in Israel and immigrated to New Zealand, got the bag of real estate, started really as a wholesaler, gradually built up my deposit, my down payment, and started buying small multi-families in New Zealand and some commercial real estate. In New Zealand, there is no such thing as large multi-families, which are like we are lucky to have in the States, which you can have a purpose-built to rent 20, 30, 100, 200 communities. It's quite a unique proposition. In New Zealand, the maximum you're going to have, maybe it's about 10, 15 purpose-built apartments. So I started investing, wholesaling, flipping houses. I still flip houses now because I got it systemized really well, and I got teams on the ground in the cities that I invest in New Zealand. It's kind of, I'm running it in distance, and I got project management skills, if you like, that allows me to manage it from being away. I live in a small town, and I travel regularly when I need to, whether it's to New Zealand to monitor my flips, and whether it's to the States when I need to, when I get a deal. In the last 10 years or so, the New Zealand market appreciated significantly, which pretty much pushed me into exploring my opportunities as an American citizen in the United States, because the New Zealand market as a whole is appreciated to be more like a market like Boston, New York, if you like San Francisco. So the cap rates are really compressed. So everything I bought and owned in the last 15 years or so is cash flowing, is good, doing great, and it has a lot of equity in it. But to keep growing and really building a cash flow machine, a significant cash flow machine moving forward, is very difficult when you are buying assets at 3 to 4 caps, if you like. So about 4 years ago, I looked further afield, and I decided to pursue investing in the United States. The first thing is really to come to the idea that, like Robert Halm says from the Real Estate Guy, live where you want to live and invest when the number makes sense. You really want to keep that in mind, because you are because you are in a position that you need to make the numbers to work. Otherwise, you're not gonna generate the returns that you're after. If you want to maybe, I won't say quit your day job, but maybe scale it down, or maybe quit your W-2 and do this full time. If you do want to achieve that, you really need to walk back and think how much monthly income I need to replace my income. And if you're in a market like Denver, like Boston, when the cap rates are 3 to 4 to 5%, it's going to be really tough to scale up and achieve that monthly income and buying many, many doors to replace that income. So if we work on a calculation of, for example, you need $100 per month per door to generate $10,000 a month of income. So that means that you need about 100 doors to generate that multiply. And you really need to be in the right market to be able to achieve this kind of cash flow. So that's why I decided that I need to go and look further afield to build my cash flow, my cash flow multifamily portfolio. the mindset of that, and in general multifamily investing, but also in real estate as a whole, is very, very important. Because if you don't have the right mindset, it's going to be really, really tough. So we really focus on persistent and patient, and being really, really dedicated to achieving your goal, and having a very, very small why. It's really important that you know what is your why, because your why is the thing that it's propelling you, your driving force, if you like, to achieving your goal. It's pretty much creating grit in you, so you are pursuing, you are continuing, and you build that passion and power in you towards achieving your goal. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's the freedom that you want if you want to travel the world, maybe it's a cause of charity or people you want to help, or maybe you just want to have an income goal. You want to have $10, $15, $20,000 passive income a month, and you know what you can do with that money for yourself, for your family, to live a lifestyle by design, if you want, if you like, which is what I achieved through real estate. Been doing it for nearly 20 years. It's very, very important to have a very strong why. So we really always recommend and always suggest to our students in the mastermind as well, that they need to create a vision board, and they really need to have a strong why, so they know what's propelling them and where do they want to go as a whole. And then you build an action plan step by step toward achieving your goal. If your action plan is to generate an income, then you're going to go through the process, which we're going to cover today, is how to go and build a portfolio in a market that will help you to achieve those goals. So again, it takes time. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Very important to be in a good mental and physical well-being. I find that doing exercise and meditating, for example, in the mornings, and living a balanced life, it's very, 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 very helpful. So highly recommended.
Hadar, I'm going to stop you for a second, because a lot of times we have the mentality, especially as new investors, to just go, and really push ourselves to the limit, and then people do burn out. And I'm sure you've seen that happen a lot. So I love that you say that, really focus on your mental health and well-being, because people don't say that enough, and it is extremely important, especially if you're the one supposed to be generating this income. If you're not healthy, it's not going to happen, huh?
No, I agree, Nico. And you really need to be in a good space with your head to be successful. Every person that we look at, and we if you like, we study, they are really taking care of themselves first, so they can be successful and help others. Even me as a coach for Jake and Gino and for the MIH Mastermind, I need to be in the right state of mind. I need to be focused. I need to have clarity to be able to help myself to propel forward, but also to be able to help others. And it's very, very important. So I really can't iterate enough how important is it to take care of yourself, make sure you get clarity, and surround yourself with like-minded people. Now, Nico, I want to ask that if there are questions over here, please stop me and ask me the questions if you like, because I rather concentrate on the content than keeping an eye on the actual questions.
Perfect.
One thing to mention is that if you are a beginning investor and you're learning multifamily, and you're able to find a person to work with, this is a great way to learn. And whether you are wanting to help somebody in your market, or whether you are looking to invest in another market, another way to learn is by being someone's boots on the ground, helping someone up, but also perhaps investing passively in somebody else's deal. Like, for example, if Nico's got a great deal or Yosef's got a great deal, and you want to learn the ropes and see how things are done behind the scene, maybe you could invest and you can get involved in the deal in a way that you could learn through the process. So considering being a passive investor and partnering on deal is another way to get yourself familiarized with multifamily and how things are working behind the scene. It could take you up to 18 months or even more, I mean, even a bit less, to find your first great deal. There's a question here, Nico. Do you want to write that? Read that to me, please.
Yes. So Natasha's asking, how are you addressing unemployment numbers in the current market during COVID?
Okay, so I'll get to that in a sec. What we are looking into a market is that we like to see a market that first of all, when we do the market research, we want to see market that has several big employers. We want to see really how many large employers there are, how many maybe Fortune 500 company. We want to see big box retailer like Amazon, manufacturing, healthcare, for example, Whole Foods, IKEA, Chick-fil-A, Best Buy, and those market, if they are present over there, those businesses in the market, that shows you that they have confidence in the market. And if they're expanding into that market, that also shows you that there is confidence in the market, because those big company, those big box company and retailers and manufacturing plants, they do the market research before they go and invest in that market. So if you see a trend of those if you like, retailers and businesses moving in, it's a really good sign. When we are talking about a rule of thumb, if you like, we like to see a minimum job growth of 2% for the last 2 years. It's very important. Some markets are below that, but maybe they will compensate on a different metrics, which we'll cover in a minute. So I'm not strict on that, but it's a rule of thumb of job growth and population growth. You do not want to invest in anywhere that there is a declining population or towns which city that has one large employment, that if they go kaput, if they go bust or leave town or restructure, then basically a lot of people lose their job. You really want to stay away from that. It's very, very dangerous. Unemployment rate, we like to see below 5%. Before COVID, unemployment rate was 3.6%. And around 2010, in kind of the end of the GFC, if you like, the unemployment was around 9%. The lowest unemployment that I managed to find in record in the last few decades was 1944. There was 1.2% unemployment rate. Now around COVID, we are basically in recession. And Natasha, the point is that this is like a freak event which will cause problem and causing problem around the country. If you have a tenant base or your assets are located in area which services more essential workers like near hospital, or if your tenant base are people who are essential workers, then you will be doing okay. To the contrary, if you are in a position that you did buy assets that have a mixture of Section 8, for example, or subsidized housing, then you are also doing well, because they have rents coming in from the government. So you really need to make sure that you have a good asset. The properties that are doing the worst right now is probably the D to F type assets in a lower demographic people, residents, if you like, that's struggling and losing the work, people who work in the industries which are really hurt, like hospitality, servers in restaurants, and various industries that really hurt by that. So to answer your question, we are looking at the general trend of the area right now, and we're looking on which businesses exist in the area currently, what was the trend before COVID, and now when we're underwriting deals, we underwrite them conservatively in terms of collection, occupancy, economic occupancy, if you like, which is the difference between physical occupancy and economic occupancy, is that you might have 100% full, in terms of resident, but you might have 20% out of 100 that are not paying, just for example, so your economic vacancy will be 20%. So you're physically full at 100%, but you're 20% economic vacancy because they're not paying. So it's all comes down to the underwriting. And states and locations that have a really good job growth and population growth and encouraging businesses to move into, for example, Dallas, Texas. It's been growing phenomenally in the last few years. For example, some places in Nevada or around Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. Those markets really matured nowadays, and they're really experiencing high population growth and job growth.
Hadar.
Any questions so far?
Hadar, so Aaron has a question. Is there a specific resource for finding job growth? He thinks, I assume some resources are more trustworthy than others. Is there any specific website? Lewis had some websites placed, city data, datausa.io. James also says Census. These are good websites I use too, but is there any other website that you like to use?
Yes, if you can see exactly on the screen right now, researching and choosing the right market, we are going to touch on that. So it's very important to research online for job growth and population growth. I like to check out bestplace.net. I like city-data.com. And that website, city-data.com, has the median house price and household income information, which is very important. I really like to look at Indeed, which is a website that has advertisements for jobs. So you can see how many jobs are posted there in terms of people advertising for looking for employees. Very, very good website, Indeed. And the Department of Numbers, I'm not sure, I think there might be a typo here. If you want to check that out, Joseph.
Okay.
I think that might be a typo. I don't know how that happened. Maybe when I copy it, change the slide a little bit today, maybe it happened. But Department of Numbers /employment/metros, that's a really, really good site to see the amount of the employment, and you can compare it to previous months and even previous years. So the employment and the unemployment rates, it's a very, very good website for that. We like to invest in a blue collar, if you like, workforce housing communities. We like to see environments when people are working really hard, because for every single white collar job, create between 2 to 5 blue collar jobs. So very, very important to keep that in mind. No matter what you do, stay away from single employers market. Like I mentioned below, if they have like a lumber mill or a big factory, a steel factory or anything like that, you want to watch out for that, because that could really be a dangerous situation to be in, especially if they go broke and they stop. Even Air Force bases, sometime that could be dangerous as well. If you want to mitigate your risk, make sure there is a bit more employment opportunity apart from just one Air Force base. In saying that, it really depends on the market. If it's really a stabilization, you know that it's a long-term base, like the Naval Center or something like that, the whole of US, then you're probably safe. Let's see. Right. Population growth equals rent growth. Simple as that. It's supply and demand. More people moving in, you'll have more demand for potential residents that competing on your apartments for rent. And it's very, very important to watch out for the population trends in your market. You really want to look into that, and you want to look at the current and past population movement in the neighborhood, in the market, and the sub-market. Because you might look at some area which is doing really, really great. For example, in my county, if you like, there is an army base in Jacksonville, Arkansas. But most of the people who are military, who actually work, if you like, in the army base, they don't want to live in Jacksonville. They all go to live in Little Rock, in Sherwood, or in Cabot, which is cities around it. So you really need to get to know your sub-market and your market really well, and find out where people like to live and what's the trends. You can find those data. I'm going to share with you how to find the data in a minute, but one of the ways to do it is to, of course, talk to a local property management company. We really try to leverage their expertise when we are moving into a new market. You want to focus on markets that has good demographics of families that rent. It's very important, because families that rent are usually staying long term if they are happy with their home. We highly recommend always to call the Chamber of Commerce in your local market. It's a really wealth of knowledge. They will know which businesses are moving to town. They will know if Amazon has behind the scene talks with the city or other maybe investment groups to build, if you like, an outfit for them, or any other business in the city. And I called the local Chamber of Commerce in my market, and he was very friendly. He was willing to share. In fact, they want you to join. So they're really, really open to share the conversation. and he was very, very helpful. And another thing you want to ask the local chamber of commerce is about the gentrification and the path of progress. Where do they see that the city is going through gentrification? Maybe they know because they're in regular contact with the city and other business group, where is money going to be spent? Where are going to be more new intersections and new connections to the highways? Very, very important to get that, because you really need to know that information to help you to make an informed decision. Any questions? Okay, let's continue.
Not so far, yes.
Okay, we like to invest in areas, and specifically in suburbs, if you like, that had the prices of $90,000 for a home or higher. This is really important, because if you are investing in an area where the prices of homes is lower, then people may prefer to rent than buying a home. So it's really, really important to keep that in mind. That those areas will have a good chance of people who will have to be good tenants, the good incomes, but they just can't just buy a home right now, and they'll be good long-term tenant, in opposed to a very cheap area where anybody could come and buy a home cheaply. So it's not really going to have a right equilibrium. We like to see areas that has a household median income of $50,000 or more. We really look at the resident's income, if you like, to be at least 3 times the rent. So, for example, if the rent that we're going to charge will be about $1,000 a month, we want them to make at least $3,000 a month or $36,000 a year. Very, very important point, because if their income is not high enough and you're trying to charge a specific rent, which is half of their income or something along those lines, they're not going to have enough left to feed their family and pay their gas bills and phone bills or anything else that they need to pay for their expenses. Very important to watch the median income. We always watch for oversupply. Very, very important to monitor the construction versus absorption. That means that the absorption rate indicates the rate of which units rent in a given area over a given time period. Or, if you like, if there is a lot of construction of new rental properties in a specific area, like an apartment, that could potentially create an oversupply, and then those A-type new build apartment will have to reduce their prices because they're going to be an oversupply. They're going to offer a lot of concessions that could then compete with your C to B type asset. So we really want to make sure that the market is balanced and there is not oversupply of apartments coming to the market. You can monitor that by speaking to the city. We like to see and monitor the permits that are issued in a specific time frame. A lot of the large, if you like, the large brokerage company are providing quarterly reports, which is talking about sales, about cap rates, about the area, population growth, even new job opportunities in terms of who moves into town. And they also talk about new construction and absorption. So it's very important you subscribe to Colors International, CBRE, Cushman & Wakefield, all of those big brokerage. They have a lot of great information. So very, very important to watch for oversupply, because oversupply would lead for concessions and lower rents overall. Again, subscribe to brokers' updates, a lot of appraisals. If you are getting monitoring deal and you've chosen a market and you're getting some marketing packages, you might get some offer memorandums, or you might get, sometime I've seen appraisals coming in as part of the marketing packages. You can download it from sometimes even just without even talking to the broker on LoopNet. And that will provide you with comparable sales, and appraisers especially have very good kind of a market information about specific markets. Very, very handy to have, because he paid for it and you're getting all the information. So I take all the offer memorandums and I take all the files and I put it in a folder, and that's my market research folder. And we always teach in the MIH Mastermind as well to keep those things, because not only you can keep an eye on the market and learn to know your market, when there are comparable rents and comparable sales in the market, you can use those as leads to look into that and perhaps reach out to the tenant off market, to the owner, off market, to try and see if they were interested in selling. So, but that's a whole different subject which we teach about how to find off market opportunities. Yes, so very important way to keep an eye on your market when you start actually moving into the market is to subscribe to the local business news or real estate news online. I'm subscribed to, if you like, Arkansas Business, which it's an online publication and it's weekly. And I all the time keep an eye on what's going on with lenders, what's going on in the industries around, which businesses are expanding, which one closing down. And also they are a great source for real estate transaction. So they list most transactions, they list over there that was sold. For example, 200 door or 100 door or 20 doors, communities sold for XYZ. Then I take that amount of money that they were sold for, I divide the number of doors, and then I know how much they were sold per door. For example, 35, 45, 50, 60 per door in that area. And I put it in a folder. And I use that information for my market research, but I'm also using it for, if you like, a point of reference when I'm talking to brokers. I really show them that I know what's going on. I know what's being transacted in the market, and I can reference back to those transactions because I monitor them. That's a very, very good and important thing to remember that. Because when you trench yourself in the market, you want to come across as somebody who is really knowledgeable about the market. That's how they'll take you seriously. Any other questions, Nico, so far?
Not that I see, but man, this is incredible, guys. So for all of you who are, I think you're going to have to watch this again and again. And if you're not doing everything that Hadar is doing, then look at the competition that you're up against. If you are trying to buy something in the same market as Hadar, look at all of these things that he does. And it might take you some time to understand how to do all this, but if you're not doing this, then you're giving the other person, the competition like Hadar, a leg up. So we're all going to get to this level. Watch this video a few times, and Hadar, man, thank you. You are rocking this. I'm getting a lot out of this.
Thank you, Nico. Thank you. We still got a little bit to go, so I want to make sure I give you everything I got tonight, this evening. So one important thing to think about is really when you're choosing a market, guys, I'm based in New Zealand. If you forgot, so if I'm able to travel 20 hours to my market, create boots on the ground, make it happen, form teams, get relationship with brokers and bankers and lenders and so forth, then you can do it as well, whether it's 3 hours drive, 4 hour drives, or even 3 or 5 hour flight. It's doable. You need to decide with yourself which market you're going to choose. Can you drive to the market? Are they direct flights to the market? Do you need to do a stopover? And decide that. Of course, if you got a great market near you and you can really get to know the market well because you live there and you can get traction with deals and create deal flow, then of course you want to invest in that market because it just makes sense. It's near you. But if your market doesn't make sense, you have to look further afield, or at least become a team member with other fellow investors that invest in a good market. Like Nico, he's looking in other markets from where he is, and Yosef and I as well, working together on other markets as part of the MIH Mastermind. We teamed up and we're looking into taking deals down together in a different market with someone who is boots on the ground in that market. So really focus on that, but you really need to know your market. So whether you're a passive or active investor, you need to know your market and you need to know the numbers, which is another thing we're going to get into very, very shortly. So we talked about the fundamentals of the market in terms of the economics and the building of new construction, absorption, all that. One very, very important thing to know and to keep in mind is the tenant laws. How friendly is the markets toward landlords? If you go and invest in Texas, Florida, Georgia, Arkansas, then you are in a market that you could perhaps evict tenants much faster. I'm not talking about COVID, just generally. It's more of a landlord-friendly, if you like, state. But if you are investing in California, Oregon, New Jersey, then it's a nightmare to be a landlord. And a lot of investors are actually catching up and moving into the to the easier, if you like, not just because of the price to rent ratio, but also because of the landlord friendliness. And you can check that out by going to landlordology/state laws and compare. And also RentCaf is a great one. It has a map. So write this down. It's very, very good website. And it's a very, very important point to keep in mind, because we can evict an unpaying tenant within 30 days. And if they don't move out, the sheriff will go knock on the door and kick them out. And if they leave things in the apartment, and they, for example, we had one guy who we served him an eviction notice, and he basically left all his garbage there, like appliances and all sorts of stuff. So we had to store them, if you like, for I think it was 10 days, and then it's ours. So if you know the rules, you can really work with that, and you could really succeed in the market. So keep that in mind. Choosing the right market, landlord friendliness is very important. I would not invest in markets which are not landlord friendly, because for me, it adds more risk to the transaction. Now we're going to go to the section of building your team. Real estate investing is a team sport. Your number one team member would be your property manager, especially if you're investing out of area. But before we touch on that, I want to briefly say that you have to be prepared to visit the market regularly, network with investors, brokers, lender, and the best way of doing that when you start up is to seek referrals. When I started, I had some referrals from friends here in New Zealand who bought in Memphis, and they introduced me to contact in Memphis. And then I made an effort to get the ball rolling and get to know people. And I ended up going to in my case, to Arkansas and even Jacksonville, Florida, and other markets through referrals. And every market I go to, I make sure that I'm going to meet people, because I get a leg up from referrals. And I tell you, I started on Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets is a great place to network. So highly, highly recommended. And if you're an introvert and you're going to maybe doing things on the back end, like underwriting deals and marketing as part of a group, investment group, then you want to make sure that you have someone who will do the extrovert activities, which is a broker relationship and investors relationship, and even finding deals and pushing forward with the off-market opportunities, because that's also something that needs to be regularly engaged with people. Any questions so far? Okay, so you need to be prepared to visit the market at least every 3 months if you're out of area or out of the US. But when you start, you need to be prepared to visit it much more often, like even monthly. If it's not in your area, you need to go there monthly. If you can drive there, if you can fly there, you just have to do it. You have to be present. If you're not going to be present and network with those people and drive for dollars and get to know your area and ask the questions, then you're not going to be successful. It's simple as that. You have to be prepared to sacrifice and do it. And if you're overseas, then you need to be prepared to fly at least twice a year, at least. But that's after you created boots on the ground and systems, because that takes some time. So every time I go, I actually create myself an itinerary. I rent a car, I rent a house. Now I stay with my buddy. It's somebody that I got to know through Bigger Pockets, through other people, and now we are good friends and we partner on some deals. And I stay with Cole, and we drive for dollars together. We leave some letters to owners, and we really hustle when we're there. And I got meetings back to back, itinerary, the whole time I'm there. So very, very important to get organized and really utilize your time to the best of your ability when you're visiting that market, because you want to make the maximum you can out of it. You want to prepare yourself before you're going to the market with enough information about those properties that you're going to drive for dollar, or even deals that you got from offer memorandum, and you want to you didn't buy them or anything, but you want to use it as your market knowledge. You want to drive by them, you want to walk them, you want to even do a mystery shopper to get a feel for the community. Very, very important. You really have to entrench yourself in the market if you want to be successful. It's crucial. If you're not going to do it, then it's going to be much harder. You want to attend meetups or create meetups like Nico and Yosef. Fantastic work. So, like I said, driving for dollar, creating itinerary, utilizing your time the best of your ability, meetings back to back. That leads me to the number one team member, which is your property manager. You need to leverage their knowledge and expertise to get to know the market, get to know the areas where you start, the zip codes. And I asked people when I did market research on Kansas City or even on Salt Lake City and on Jacksonville, Florida, I jumped on Bigger Pockets. I got to know people. I got referrals. Jumped on the phone. They gave me tips about areas, about the suburbs, and then I drove there and I met with manager. And very, very important because you need to know your areas. One way to use though, before you go, is to use the Trulia crime heat map. Very, very, very good. You can see which areas have more crime, which are less. It's something that when you go into the market first, you kind of need to check that and the FEMA website, which is flood prone area, floodplains. Those are my two to go when I'm studying in the market. Nowadays, I only check FEMA because I already know the suburbs and the area. But just a very good tip. When you're starting to know the market, try and stay away from the high crime areas because those will be very hard to manage. Might look on paper like high yield, high return, but collection will be difficult. Another way to monitor and research your market rents when you're wanting to learn what you can get on a deal when you're doing your initial deal underwriting is to jump on rentometer.com or apartments.com, and you definitely recommend you to do calling those comps like mystery shopper. Now, I'm not going to get into a lot of details about how to do that, but if you are interested, we do have, and I'm going to plug it now if you don't mind, Yosef, I know you've done the course. As a MIH Mastermind, we created an underwriting course, which is multifamily investing underwriting course for single operators, joint ventures, partners, and passive investors. Very good course, which is a series of videos and quizzes and a lot of content about how to underwrite, which is analyze deals properly. So if you're interested, perhaps Yosef can share the link to that.
Yes, I will.
I know Yosef done the course. Every member of the MIH Mastermind get the course for free. But if you don't, you just buy it. I think it's at the moment it's on special for $2.99. But it's highly recommended how to do this market research. So one thing you have to know in any market is your typical operating expenses for the market. You see, in Arkansas, I might be able to operate an apartment community without payroll. Let's say you've got 50 units, 20 units, and you run it with a third-party property manager. If you can operate that, which I know I can, between $2,800 to $3,000 per year, if you like, per unit, I know that that's the market rent. So while I know that in Dallas or for example, I had a chat to Chris Jackson about it yesterday in the mastermind. Where is he investing in? How do you call that market, Yosef? Where Chris invests? Dropped out of my head. Atlanta, in Atlanta. So in Atlanta, your running cost might be 4 to 4.5, and it's to do with the insurance, to do with other things like for example, in Florida, insurance will be higher. In Texas, you got high taxes because they don't have state income tax. So when you know the typical operating expenses per unit in your market, you actually able to look at financials that provided to you by the seller or by a broker and determine if there is enough value add opportunity in the deal. Because if you see that they operate at $4,500 per door, but you know that you can operate, let's say, at $3,000 per door, then you know that you can cut those costs and increase your net operating income, which will reflect better cash flow and higher valuation for your property as well. So it's very important to know your typical operating expenses per unit in your market. And if you get, typically with mom and pop owner, if you get financials on the back of a napkin or some crappy financials that they put together for you, and they're running it at like 1,500 to 1,800 per door, but you know you need to be at 3,000, then you know that that's not going to happen. You can't operate at that level. You're not a mobile home park or a self-storage place, which is even lower. So very, very important to know that, because you can quickly determine where you're at and walk to see if there is an opportunity. So yeah, another thing that that's something that you can ask. I'll tell you who to ask. How do you find out when you get into a new market? You are able to find that information from your property manager, third-party property manager, and your lenders. Property manager is because they have been managing a lot of property, they are able to pull data and see what the landlord, if you like, or the owner is paying for repair and maintenance and capital expenditure and other costs, taxes, insurance, through the portfolio. So that's property manager. They'll be able to tell you. Even more, your lender will be able to tell you, and that's a very important point to remember, guys, because the lender are underwriting deals all the time, and they know also what they underwriting the deals at, expense per door. And if you go in and your assumptions are wrong, and you're going to come in and tell them, oh yeah, I can operate at what the mom and pop owner telling you that he would, because he's neglecting the property and he does a lot of things, not really for the books and bits and pieces, then if you go in and you under quote your expenses, that you will not impress them. And you want to make sure that you are on the dollar, and you want to make sure that you're getting it right, because if you go well below, then you'll not come across professional. And I always ask property manager and lenders in my market, especially community banks, community lenders, regional banks, they know, because they underwrite a lot of deals, what they see as expense per unit in your market typically, and how they underwrite the deal. Very, very important. Yes.
James has a quick question. How did you get brokers to meet with you and take you seriously as a real estate buyer before you obtained your first property?
First of all, I try and get referrals to the brokers. So that's called like a warm introduction. So I go on Bigger Pockets. If you're not part of any community like MH Mastermind or Jack and Gino, then if you are, you can get a referrals to a certain market. But if you don't, then you need to jump on Bigger Pockets and ask for referrals. And when you get a referral, it's really like a warm lead. It's much warmer than just cold calling them and telling them, hey, I want to buy apartments in your market, and trying to impress them that way. So first of all is referral. Number two, I took the initiative to create a website, kind of, I know you did as well, Yosef, about myself, which is you like what we do, our business, and create it like a virtual business card for us and our criterias. And it's like the Jake and Gino's, they teach about the financial credibility book, which is your buying criteria, your location, your strategy. And if you jump up on my website, which is mfiholding.com, Yosef, if you want to share that, then yes, everybody could see in section over there, there's a few tabs there, you can check it out, and you can see what I've done, which is just a virtual business card. If you're starting from scratch, depends on the amount of capital you got. You might want to team up with other fellow investors and leverage their experience to impress, if you like. So that's as well. I know that members in a mastermind, they use me and Marco, my partner, my co-founder of the mastermind, is Gino's brother. He's got 1,600 doors. They use us as you like the advisory team. So that's another way of doing that, by partnering with other people. I hope that answers the questions. Two important points before we leave the property management aspect of that. You want to make sure that you have a third-party property manager which you've been recommended to. And again, we're not going to really drill down how to choose a property manager, but generally speaking, you want to have somebody who is very responsive to you and responsive to the residents. You want them to be responsive on the weekends because some people want to go and do showing on the weekends for rental properties. You want to see how do they report back to their owners. Now with COVID, and I know that that's something that a lot of management company had to adopt and really speed up their game, if you like, signing lease virtually, like digital, HelloSign and DocuSign and all those. So that's a great thing in a way that happened. People had to adapt, and it makes things much easier. You don't get those faded scanned pages anymore. That's about that. We did some virtual walkthroughs as well with COVID that worked really well. So you really need to have a property management which is responsive. And also when it comes to the tenants, you want them to have a good response to and ask them how they handle maintenance requests. Because at the end of the day, you are providing a service to your client who is the resident, and your front, unless you're managing in-house, your front person is your third-party property manager, and their customer service that they provide to your resident is what's going to keep your residents happy, which will, in effect, will increase your resident paying rent and also higher retention and less vacancy. So more residents retention. My role with my company is really to asset manage my managers. So I sit on their neck, once a week or every 10 days, depends what we got on the go. If they help me to do some of the renovation, then I'll monitor them a bit more frequently. But if the property is stabilized and we kind of just smooth sailing pretty much, then I'll follow up with them every week or 10 days. Again, just to touch on that, another great way to talk to us, and it's a very important point, I don't want to miss that, is when you're looking at an apartment community, you want to ask them in this area if there is oversupply of one bedrooms or not, for example, or which amenities, if you want to add to your community that you just bought, will add value, whether you should add washer and dryer hookups if you can, or whether you should add some storage shed, or whether you should add some dog park or picnic table, which amenities will add value for the tenants, for the residents. So it's very, very important that property manager should be able to tell you that. This is a quick, I'm not going to touch a lot of that because I kind of cut it short a little bit. I'm conscious of your time. This is a deal that I got quite a while ago. I think it was 3 years ago now. I did off-market direct mail marketing. I got the guy to ring me back, and his starting price was quite good because he bought it, he owned it for many years. He started renovating it. He gutted one apartment, and the whole place was vacant because he thought he was going to renovate it himself. He was in his late 60s. And he just got fed up with it. He couldn't handle the job anymore. So what I did is I asked my friend, my buddy there, to go and meet with the guy and get it under contract ASAP because I wasn't in the States, I was in New Zealand. Now I use a local number. I got Magic Jack on my phone, and every person who responds to my marketing will call it a 501 number, which is an Arkansas number. So I want them to be confident that I'm a local investor. I will not give them a number which is out of state because, of course, they're not going to ring New Zealand. So very, very important. A lot of people don't even answer their phone if you're ringing from out of state because it could be some insurance sales rep trying to sell you some crap. So we got this under contract. And once we got it under contract and we did the inspection, then I flew to the market to see the property. This particular property was completely renovated. It's a townhouse style. It was totally vacant. We did, as you can see, granite, painting, flooring, everything. And all those furnitures that you see here, guys, they are all staged digitally. Those are not real furniture. So we staged it digitally on Fiverr. It cost me about, $60. And we dressed it really nice. All this coffee machine, even those oranges over there, it's all fake. It's all digital staging. So we staged that, and it was very, very successful. We rented them for $645. I think it was 3 years ago now. Now we had tenants stay there for 3 years, all of them. One left last week, and now the rents are at 675. So good rent bump over there, good location. I've done some, if you can see, I've done some fencing around it and put picnic tables, and I put a barrier at the back. Now we are going to touch on lenders, on real estate brokers. Sorry, how to take you seriously. To answer your question before, is first and foremost, you need to learn to speak the language. You need to know what NOI is, what cap rate is, what OPEX, operating expenses, CAPEX, capital expenditure, debt to cover ratio, DCR, IO, interest only. You need to know those numbers, and you need to be able to even know what lenders will lend you in the market, what debt to cover ratio they're going to go down to. Are they going to lend on 1.25, or now maybe they strengthen their criteria to 1.4. You also need to know what the specific lender will potentially give you an amortization on a longer property, which is perhaps 1960s or less. They might only give you 15 years amortization. So you need to know that by talking, by asking the questions to lenders. And again, lenders, brokers, property managers, referrals. Very, very important. So speaking the language is one thing. I take the brokers over time. I go and I see brokers, whether I get introduced to them. I also ask lenders to tell me which brokers they know that are active in the market, maybe they could introduce. It happened to me in Kansas City, it worked really great. So then I put them in a CRM, which I monitor, and I follow them up every 2 weeks. Hey, you got anything else for us? And in the mastermind, we have what we call the broker conversation system, which we share with the students, and we really go through how to communicate with them through email, from text, whether you calling them. So you really need to get that systemized, because once you want to operate, you need to make it as easy as possible for you. You can even get a virtual assistant send email on your behalf if you want to go that far. So yeah, very, very important. We also suggest that when you're starting up, you look at LoopNet. Although some people say that LoopNet is the place where some properties go to die, if you like they're already being shopped around to everybody who is really in the closest inner circle of the brokers. But some brokers will list there anyway because they want to get the exposure. Maybe they'll get other listings like that. So we take the people who list on LoopNet and we reach out to them, and we really put them on the CRM and try to build a relationship with them as well. You can take your broker for lunch or coffee. Probably more of a coffee than a lunch. Lunch is a bit more like with bankers, and they usually pay for it as well, which is the nice thing with the lenders. And the reason is that brokers will prefer you going for a walkthrough with them, to walk through the property and show them that you are a serious person, making the effort to walk through and ask the right question, in opposed to going sitting at lunch with you, because everybody wants to, to take them for lunch and try and build those relationships with them. Let's see what else we got. Ask question to support your research. So you really want to ask them questions about what cap rates they see in the marketplace. And even if you're new, that's not a shame to go and ask that. How many listings they sold in a year. And there's a list of questions you can ask a broker to really have a feel if they are active as well. So you can ask them about the areas. You can ask them about, what kind of discount they see now in today's market with COVID, if any. And any question that you will support your market research.
Mm-hmm. Hadar, is there specific CRM software or website you recommend?
Yeah, I use Insightly. It's free and I use it, and it's very, very good. So I use it for brokers, I use it for lenders, and I even use it for the mastermind, to put students in there. So I use Insightly for CRM, and I use Asana for project management with my virtual assistant. So we do everything through Asana, whether it's for my investing business, asset management. When I get the statement from the property manager, she reconciliates, make sure that I have it in a spreadsheet. We look on all the key performance indicators, which indicates if we have any vacancies, how many are rent ready, how many are not. And everything is there, communicating through there. And I use it for the mastermind, and I even use it for my flipping business in New Zealand. So you can create 3 different profiles, or as many profiles as you want on Asana, to run your different businesses there and communicate with your virtual assistant or your team members. Very, very good. Highly recommend it, and it's free.
I use Asana too. It's very good.
Yeah, I love Asana. One very, very important, 2 very, very important thing with brokers, again, how to build credibility, is always, always, always do what you're going to say you're going to do. If I tell the broker, I'm going to come back to you within 12 hours or 24 hours with feedback on a deal, I need to talk to my business partner, I need to run some number and crunch the number to underwrite, I come back to them on that. I'm not going to waste their time. And I'm going to give them a sincere and honest feedback on the deal, whether I want it or not. Very, very important. You have to watch it though. You don't want to overwhelm them and slag off the deal. Very, very important. So please keep that in mind. Build your team and relationship. Question for brokers. You want to take a picture of that and perhaps read that later on. This is some good question to ask a broker. Again, if you ask the right question, you build up credibility. We're very, very important to build a good broker relationships and have a local number as well if you can. Speak the language. CRM, monthly follow-up. I'll tell you a quick story. When I came to the market, I got stabilized there, but I did not meet a specific broker who is actually part of the good old boys club, if you like. Very well known in the community. He doesn't deal with a lot of people. He does a lot of deals online. And he brought me a deal. He brought me 2 deals. The first deal he brought me was crap. He wanted really to check me out, to see maybe I'll bite one of his deals that he couldn't sell to anybody else. So I passed on that and I gave him quick feedback and moved on. And the second deal he gave me was 120 units or something in a very, very nice, if you like, vintage, like nice brick pitch roof, 1970s kind of bricks and siding look with a bit of a dog park and a lot of parking, and very, very nice looking property. But the property was about 40% vacant. So long story short, I did not understand why it was vacant. So I've done the underwriting, I've done all the research, and I just did not understand why it was vacant. Why are they taking it so difficult for them to list those units? So by asking my property management about the property, he's born and raised in that market, and he's been operating there for a long time. He told me that last year there was a murder on that property, and it was a big drama in the news, and everybody knows about it. And that's probably the reason why the property is not getting full, because there was an incident over there. And although it's an up-and-coming area, it's just that pocket has a lot of crime in it and had few incidents in the last few years. So having a good property management to run things by them sometimes can really help you out to get familiarized. And I took that knowledge and relayed it to the property, to that agent, to the broker. And I told him, hey, mister, I'm not interested because I think it's going to be really tough to fill up those units considering the stigma. So you really need to dig deep and really need to make sure you got the right people on your team to be able to fill up the holes, if you like, to ask the right question. So again, let's see. When we meet with brokers, if I do go for coffee with them, I try and talk to them a little bit about some personal stuff, like do they like fishing and hunting? What's the hobby they like? Maybe they like to surf, or maybe they like to fly planes. So really like to find out what's their favorite sport team. And I do that with lenders as well. So very important just to get a little bit more of a feel for the character. Do they have any kids? How old are their kids? Kind of trying to have a feel. And I put those notes in the CRM. Very, very important. Guys, I want to tell you something now. You have to remember that. Do not ask for off-market opportunities straight away. Because if you go and you just met them and you're asking for off-market opportunity, what's the chances they're going to give it to you, for example, or not to somebody that has a stabilized long-term relationship with them already, who they know for maybe a few years? There's no chance, not a lot of chance at all. So this is something that you should leave later on, maybe after you met with them a few times and even looked on a few deals. But I got a secret way that I bring it up, and I'm going to share that with you. And I don't do it on the first conversation. I usually do it on the second or third. What I tell them is, you know, we are very actively looking to purchase apartments. I give them our criteria in this market. If you know of anyone who owns one of those property and they may consider selling, but for some reason they don't want to really go and perhaps have people walking through their community, or maybe they don't even want to pay a commission, I tell them. So I want you to know that if you do come across a deal like that, I will be more than happy and willing to pay you the commission if the number stacks up. If the numbers work, I'm more than happy to pay you a commission. So if you do come across a deal like that, please feel free to run it by me, and I promise you I'm not going to go behind your back. So that's my secret how I bring it up within a conversation. Very, very important. Let's see. Again, guys, seek referrals for all of those. We already touched on that. I can go on and on. That was a part of a long presentation I've done for the Property Investors Nations last year. Again, mortgage broker or local bank. The lending business is a relationship-based business. Having good relationship and track record with local loan officer can be very beneficial, especially when you need to close on a deal in a short time frame or required a bridge loan. Guys, I had a deal that came onto my table last year, and girls, and it was a really good deal. I knew it was a good deal. I was working on it for 18 months. It was off market. Long story, I won't get into it now, but it was off market and I was working on it. And I had 3 banks jumping up and down telling me how much they're going to fund the deal. They don't care that I'm in New Zealand. As long as obviously we have the financials and we can show that we can service the debt. One of them took me to lunch, bring a couple of colleagues, and was really saying how much they want me to get it with them and everything. When we were really, when the rubber met the roads, when we were just into the final stage of financing, 2 of them pulled out because they went to a committee, and one of them had 15 people on the committee. So many people, so many minds pulling back and forth, each right and left. They couldn't make a decision. Who is Hadar Orkibi from New Zealand, American citizen or not? We don't know if he can pull it through, because this property had 30% vacancy and the rents for 30% below market. They could not see the opportunity. And I was willing to do whatever it takes to take this deal, because it's a really, really good deal. So another one didn't do it either. So the last one, the bank that I've been banking with, doing small transaction. I opened the bank account with them when I first chose a market, guys. Very important point. If you choose a market and you decide to go to that market, go and open a bank account in that market. Put $1,000 in, get a secure credit card for $500, and maybe pay a subscription for an online publication for that market, for example, $10 a month, so you can build some track records with them. That bank funded my deal. They did want me to bring a large down payment and a lot of reserves, like default reserve account, which you put 1 year of principal and interest, but they funded the deal. Now I'm stabilized, fully stabilized. I'm going to refinance it. I'll give them the first option if they want to restructure the loan, or I'm going to go to another credit union who can give me really good terms. So having the relationship with them, local lenders early on, very, very important, because they could really save your butt, if you like, when you got a good deal. It's very, I could not reiterate. If I would have lost this deal, you know, it was really an opportunity that I would not want to lose. This is going to pay me about $60,000 to $70,000 a year after I'm refining all of the money out from the deal. So it's a really life-changing deal in terms of the opportunity to scale. And it was on the paper as well. You know, when I closed the deal, it was on that online publication. And I get some brokers and stuff. They took a picture of the of the screenshot when my name was mentioned over there, and they sent it to me. You know, like finally they saw that I'm really doing what I said I'm going to do in that market and closing on deals and making it happen. So very, very important. Get those relationships early on.
That's
compare
genius.
The terms. Yeah, compare the term. Thank you. Sometimes it's good to work with the mortgage broker because they could apply for different lenders at the same time on your behalf. They will know which lenders in the marketplace will have more appetite for that particular deal. You might need to pay them 0.5% or 1% or maybe 1.5% of the loan amount origination fee, but it could be worth its weight in gold. There is another property I really, really want to buy. It's another 40 something units in my market. Long story short, I find out the broker, mortgage broker, old boys club kind of thing. Again, he knows that other broker, which I mentioned to you, that he's also very known in the market. And that broker got this deal, soft market. And I keep nagging him that I want the deal because he knows the owner. And I got a mortgage broker who knows the broker who represents the seller. I got him involved because they are very good friends. So I don't mind paying him 1% for the deal or to originate the loan if he can try and pull some string and talk to the broker, telling that I'm credible and trying to get the deal done because he wants to get paid and he wants to get paid. So really working as a team, and you get to know the players in your market. You get to know the lenders. You get to know the owners. I got a catalog of 3 or 4 owners in my market who owns a few hundred apartments in that market. And I got it in a catalog, in a PDF, all the addresses of the properties they own, picture of it, how many units. I ring them on the phone, do some cold calling. I write it all down on the note, so I got the record over there. Some of them I actually became, 2 of them I became kind of friendly. We went for dinner and that. And it's very, very important because you have to get to know your market and your players in your market. Let's see. What else?
Wonderful. We have
Again,
a question.
Please, go ahead.
From Natasha, asking your thoughts on Fannie versus Freddie.
That really depends on the deal that you have, the size of the deal that you have. If you don't know the difference between them, you can go on the MIH Mastermind YouTube channel, and you can find a video that Will Coleman from Rand Capital, which is the finance arm of Jake and Gino. He did a video for us comparing the different, if you like, criteria and the different offerings that each Freddie or Fannie could do. I like agency debt, which is Freddie and Fannie. And there are 2 reasons why I like them. The first reason, not in a specific preference, is that they usually offer you the best terms. So they're going to give you a long amortization up to 30 years, which extend your principal payment over a longer period of time, which means that you are actually paying a smaller amount of principal per month, which generates better cash flow for you, number 1. Number 2, they will be offering you the lowest interest rate on the market, pretty much usually. There's some other options with the hard loans and that, but we're not going to get into that. Special government subsidy construction loan. And those specific, let's say you can get a low interest rate, you can get the interest rate fixed for 10 years. And the cream on the top, the cherry on the top, if you like, is that this debt is non-recourse, meaning that it doesn't go on your balance sheet as bad debt. It's pretty much, if you like, a serviceable debt. It's a non-recourse debt. So if crap hit the fan, you don't have recourse on these loans. And it means that when you want to go and perhaps even just as part of your portfolio to borrow more money, that debt is not accounted against you to the degree of debt that you gave personal guaranteed against. So the liability is much lighter. And apart from that, it's pretty much like having a business working for you that generates income that lets you buy more assets with no non-recourse. So highly recommended. Freddie and Fannie, they have different programs, small balance loan, and the Fannie usually can even go down to $750,000 of loan amount. So the property might be $1 million, and you are putting 25% down, and the loan amount will be $750,000. So that could work. I might refinance my deal with Fannie at some stage because of that. Freddie sometimes needs a higher, well, not sometimes, he needs a higher loan balance. So great option nowadays with coronavirus. Very, a little bit more challenging to actually get in. They want you to have, if you refinance, they want you to have at least 12 months of ownership before they even look at it now. So things change now with COVID a little bit, but they'll bounce back as well. So very important to have a good mortgage broker on your side. And Will Coleman from Rand Capital is a really good source. So visit the MIH Mastermind YouTube channel. Yosef, can you put the link for the YouTube channel, please?
Sure, can do that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of good videos over there for them.
Hey guys, I know it passed our usual time. However, Hadar is providing ton of value here. I want all of you could digest this. But if you have to leave, it's okay. But we're gonna keep going a little further.
Yeah, I almost done. So again, your boots on the ground could be, when you're looking at the market, you want to have a closest team member. Boots on the ground can be your trusted local property manager, handyman, business partner, or project manager. Again, you want to have a very close team members, which could be your mentors or mastermind group for education. Mentor or mastermind group can shorten your timeline to success and avoid costly mistakes. So one of your other closest team member that you need to have on speed dial or email is your accountant. You want an accountant that can help you with cost saving strategies, bookkeeping, and implementing cost segregations, etc. So very important to have those 3 or 4 members on your team. This is courtesy of Jake and Gino. If you like the team building team members pyramid. So at the bottom you'll have all your activities, your contractor, your subcontractors, as you can see, and then you have all your professionals, which is your accountants, professional team, and at the top you'll have your mentor, your coach, your family, and your partners. There's high-level activities, which we also teach. Something which is very important when you start moving into market, you start getting busy with your business is growing, you really need to keep in mind how you scale your business and how you really focus on your high level activities. We're not going to get into that now, but it's something that you might do and you bootstrap in the beginning, but once you're getting busy and you're starting to pick up some traction and momentum, you really need to focus on your high level activities in opposed to the low level activities. I do not manage any of my properties at all, apart from one property, which is where I live, and it's a commercial asset, triple net lease, meaning the tenant pays for all outgoings and everything, and I don't need to do anything about it. So apart from that, I always had a third-party property manager. I do not want to deal with the tenants personally. I want to focus on the business and not being in the business. So that's about that. Let's see. Define your buying criteria. Again, when you talk to a broker, you ask me about how to build credibility. You want to get in and you want to know what you're looking for. So you want to tell them, I'm looking for 200 to 120 units. I like the unit mix to be majority of 2-bedroom. In my case, more 2-bedroom than 1-bedroom. Maybe a 70-30 split. Now, I will be flexible on that. It depends on the location. If you're in inner city, if you like area near university, in the downtown or near hospital, I might take that. So it really depends. I also say that it depends. I like to see 1960s or later, meaning younger properties. I don't like to buy anything 1950s, 40s, too much problem with plumbing and wiring and all sorts. All the properties, high maintenance, unless you can pick them up really cheap. I like to see washer and dryer hookups, separate utilities. Underperforming properties, I like value add properties. And properties that needs renovation, mismanaged, mom and pop, all of that stuff. Again, I like properties that are under rented with minimum 10% upside. Now, actually, I'm looking for minimum 15%. Needs to change the slide. Vacancy rate, I tell them I'm okay with 30 to 20% vacancy. That's fine. I stay away from war zones. Opportunity to increase income and decrease expenses. Higher NOI equal to higher cash flow, higher values. Do not buy properties which are negatively geared unless you're well capitalized, you got a lot of cash to prop up your shortfall. basically negatively gearing means expense exceeding income. Always do environmental phase 1 site assessment, so do not skip on that. And do not buy properties with severe structural problem unless you have the capacity to handle that financially and with team on the ground. Avoiding the pitfall, what to do: verify your market research data, base your offer on real actual numbers. You do not want to base your offer on brokers pro forma. They always inflate the prices. They always tell you that you can get higher rents, which you're not going to get. So you need to know your market, okay? Buy on actuals if you can. In saying that, the property that I bought, and I told you it was 30% vacant, I paid about, if you take the numbers that they collected, I paid about 4.8 cap for it. But I was fine with that because I knew where can I take the property to. You see, you need to know so you can take the property and increase the rent by 30%. Because if you get high vacancy and the rents are 30% under market, of course it's going to be a very low income on what they're getting currently. So it's unlikely that they'll say, if the market cap rates, for example, is 7 cap, for example, if you're going to apply that cap rate for the very, very low crappy income that they're getting, you know, it's unlikely they're going to sell you a property that is worth, let's say, 1.4 million for like 800, just because it's just, you know, you need to be reasonable about that and know where you can take the property to. We like to very much so underwrite conservatively and stress test the asset. And that's why we created the MIH Mastermind principle of underwriting course, because we really, really, really want our members to have a good grip of underwriting. This is basically the mechanics in terms of the financials of the deal. And if you don't know and you don't understand the financials, it's going to be challenging to make a right and informed decision whether you're a passive or active investor. And guys, don't be afraid from this. We laid it down in the course in a very easy, palatable way. And it's not a financial nightmare to get into that. It's actually quite enjoyable. Always walk the units prior to closing. My thing is that I always go in and I take video walkthroughs. Now, if I got a vacancy, I need to turn a unit, I go back to the video. I listen to myself and Cole talking, saying what needs to be done. I see the flooring, I see the countertops, I see which bedroom has light fans and which one doesn't. And I really, really do that. So it's really important. You can go back to that. Videos are great. I put it in a folder and I revisit them. Do your due diligence, the 3-step due diligence: financial first, you review all the financial, the rent rolls as well. Physical is the inspection, and then the legal due diligence, which is the survey and the title work. We're almost near the end, guys. If you want the white paper report, questions for a loan officer, and another paper, which is how to identify another performing properties, jump on mihmastermind.com/contact us and send me a message from there. And I will be more than happy to email you back those 2 reports. Guys and girls, some people want it to happen. Some wish it will happen. Others make it happen. You know who said that. If you want to make it happen, you want to be successful in real estate, you want to achieve your goals and your dreams and live the lifestyle by design, you really need to hold the bull by the horn and go and get it and do it and follow the system that I showed you today to try and build up a good road for success. If you want to learn more about me and Marco and what we're doing with MIH Mastermind, you can talk to Yosef or Nico as well. And we got Bailey Kramer here. He's got quite a few members here, and Lewis as well. Or you can apply to join MIH Mastermind on our website, or just text Marco on this number here, take a picture of that to schedule a free 30-minute strategy call. And we're more than happy to get to know you a bit more better and try and help you towards achieving your goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hadar. Again, Hadar, you provide a ton of value today and great tips here. It's not only for those who are looking to invest out of state, but also those who are in those ideal markets as well, just like Lewis here, or Aaron, you're in Tennessee. Those kind of markets are the markets that me as an out-of-state investor, I like to look at, but you still need to understand your own market to attract potential investors as well. So I think today what Hadar provided is actually valuable to everyone.
Yeah, Hadar, man, Jesus, that was sick. This guy, the things that you were saying is just honestly phenomenal material. And for those of you out there who are like borderline, like understanding parts of it, not all of it, reach out to any one of us and we will help you through it, or reach out to Hadar, have a call with Marco and just see what they can offer you as a program, because I jumped into a program myself and it completely changed my life. So I recommend it. You know, it's something that it's not like a sales pitch or anything. It's like if you're truly feeling that you want to take the next step, then have somebody help you do it. So you can call them and talk to them all the time and work with them one-on-one. Basically, you're getting a ton of value out of that. And I mean, I'm going to rewatch this over and over because there's a lot in here, man. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Another point I want to make is today, Hadar, you actually did this is like his paid course. I thought he was going to be more of like a shortened version of, you know, still some values, but today what he did was like actually his overall, like the good stuff. Like he really tried hard to convey the good ones today. So I really appreciate Hadar.
Thank you, guys. No, I'm happy to help, you know, and I know it could be overwhelming. You know, what I said is dumped so much information on you, but you can always listen to it and you can always reach out to me or Yosef or Nico and really try to understand. And, you know, this is a team sport. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You haven't, you know, we didn't build a portfolio overnight, but if you surround yourself with like-minded people, and you get a plan together, you can achieve it. And that's, if I can do it from New Zealand, guys, you can do it. You're in America. So, you know, keep that in mind.
All right. And lastly, anybody has any questions? I mean, we already passed an hour. So at this point, I'm like, okay, let's unmute, guys, if you have any question. I think, Aaron, you put a question there. I was going to touch that upon like 3 things, right?
Yeah, he actually, he touched on all of them, I think. So just 3 actionable items that anybody can do to move the needle, especially for the new guys.
Actionable item. It really depends on the level of education you had so far. So so let me ask you, you're asking for yourself, what kind of level, what do you feel you are at? Have you been listening to podcasts? You've been reading books? What have you been doing so far?
I've been listening to podcasts. I've been a member of the Jake and Gino community for the last 3 years almost. So
okay.
I've done a lot of the education piece. Just having financially, I wasn't ready to do it yet, and now I'm getting there. So
where are you based?
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh wow, you're in good market as well. I appreciate it a lot, but good market. Have you been going to all the boot camps and stuff that Jake and Gino have been doing?
No, honestly, I haven't had. Been running a business plus doing a full-time job and raising a baby and doing all kinds of things right now, so staying busy. But I just keeping an eye on the market over the last 3 years or so. It's appreciated probably 50% on average over the last 3 years, just because, you know, all the investors of the Jake and Gino community are, you know, well, there's several of them in Knoxville area, so it's hard to find deals here now.
There's a lot of going on for Knoxville. Actually, Knoxville is one of the markets that kind of did not feel so much damage from the GFC. It actually did quite well. And the recovery there was pretty fast. But there's a lot about the demographic, a lot about what's going on with the local economy over there. On a nutshell, mate, it sounds to me like you got the knowledge, but you're very busy with your life. And you need to prioritize it. And if you don't think you can find the time to go all out and really start digging, you know, and trying to create your own deals, you need to team up with local investors. I mean, that's just what you need to do. You need to, and we got members in the mastermind that are active in Nashville, in Knoxville and just Tennessee as a whole, East Tennessee, Central Tennessee. They don't go west to Memphis. So I mean, it's really depending on the time you got, and if you know, because it could be overwhelming to start thinking, hey, how can I go and start building those relationships? How comfortable are you? How much do you want to achieve your goals? If you want to make it happen, you got some money saved, you need to get involved in the deal, even as part of a partnership.
I've got breakfast planned with Darren Light on Friday morning, so that should be a good start.
He's your man. Darren Light. Darren Light is a member of our mastermind. He's a great guy. and he's just a great guy. And we're actually working on some deal flow opportunities. So if you have the ability to invest, you're more than welcome to discuss with Darren. Maybe we can do a deal together if we bring up a good opportunity. So that's what I suggest. You just have to decide which way is the best for you, whether it's to go alone and try and do it or join a team. Simple as that.
Great. Hey, look at that.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right.
I've got dog and baby.
Great. So I think, Nico, we could kind of wrap up at this point. And
Right.
if you want to if you want to stay, we're gonna stay another, a little longer to chat a little bit. So you could do that too. But again, Hadar, thank you very much for your so much knowledge was given today, and like definitely what Nico said. We're gonna have to rewatch it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
And James, just to answer your question here, sorry, I don't know when it was posted, but the CRM is in Sightly. Joseph posted the link, and I just use that as a database, if you like, to store contacts for my brokers and for lenders, and I put notes over there. So you need to have a place of reference. CRM is great. It's online, and it's in the cloud. So guys, thank you so much. If you need anything else in the future, I'm here for you. And Joseph, I'll see you soon anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hadar.
Thanks, Hadar.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Make it
guys.
happen, guys. Make it happen.
Thank you,
See you later.
Natasha. Oh, that was like fire. Nico, Hadar was like, how long was it? Wow, this was the longest meetup I had with him.
That was sick, huh? We got some value out of that. Hey, I want to add something to yours, Aaron. So there's a couple strategies for you. If if you didn't have the money at first, like me, I currently can't touch my money. I got to put the deal together. So, but you didn't have the time. So now you're stuck, but now you're getting money. So now you could jump in a deal that way, which is your way in if you have some money. So.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking, is just looking to at least start off as a limited partner. Partnering, just bringing some money to the table. You don't have a lot, but if boots on the ground. So I've got some options there. As much time as I'm spending doing other things, I can still make more time. My schedule is somewhat flexible still, so there's an opportunity there.
Nice.
Cool, man.
Hey, Liam, what's going on?
Well, I feel like I
stuff
got
today?
some good value out of that. It was definitely good to be here. Not too much news been going on since last time we talked. Started going out and looking at properties. Went and looked at some. Was driving around in Liberty, Missouri. I don't know if you guys are looking there. North.
I know Liberty. Yes.
And I kind of like that area actually. I think I'm looking to do a house hack, so I think that'd be a good place to live and invest.
Guys, Liam does interesting thing. They install a lock, right, Liam, that you could open with your smartphone. So it's gonna be something that if you want to upgrade your units in the future, like something that you could probably put in for the younger people, and boost the potential rent.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
What about
That's
you?
cool,
How's
man.
your search going, Yosef? You guys looking at any new properties in Kansas City since last time we were talking?
So we're looking at something in Wichita now. Wichita?
Oh yeah, Wichita. Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually submitted LOI a couple of days ago. We got counted. We counted it back. We're really close now. We're talking about, as far as the numbers, not even like 100,000. So we're there. We're still going there. Probably in a couple of days, we will know if we're gonna be in or not.
Okay.
So kind of excited.
You guys are actively underwriting properties right now?
Yes. Like at least 2-3 a week.
I have a question for you. How are you guys, or are you guys factoring in any lender required, the reserve requirements? Yeah, how are you guys factoring that in? How's that affecting your deals?
So it is affecting, because it will shrink your cash flow, right? For the conventional, especially Fannie Mae's and Freddie Mac reserves will, so we try to go to like community banks to see if the numbers works. Our boots on the ground partner has a good relationship with the community banks, so he can at least get some good numbers, interest rates and terms and IO. So we try community. So we underwrite different versions. We underwrite one with community banks, one with reserves, one with seller carryback options. We have like at least 5 to 8 different versions we underwrite and see the most suitable ones for our investors or us.
You guys ever do any like seller financing or anything like that? You ever tried to position a deal like that?
Yeah, once. We had now I more see the loan assumption options, but seller finance we tried once, but it didn't really make sense for that particular property because that particular property had no upside for rent. Like it was a nice B type property where it was already upgraded a couple of years ago. So the only value we could add was probably another like $20-$30 per units through like a RUBS system. But other than that, we couldn't really make it up the value. So even though the seller suggested seller carryback of I think $250,000 or $300,000 within 3 years, we couldn't really see the way we could refi and get the $300,000 within 3 years because there was no upside. So we decided not to go with that.
That's a viable option in some instances.
In some cases, yes.
Yeah.
If there is an upside for the rent or to decrease the expenses where you can boost the NOI, seller carryback is amazing. You could utilize that. However, if there's no way to raise NOI enough to get the cash out refi to pay back the owner,
right?
Then it's gonna be tough.
Cool. Thank you,
Aaron. Oh my God,
she's got a lot going on there.
That's awesome.
Big dog, little baby.
She's going absolutely nuts right now.
That's so cute. She's so cute.
Oh yeah, listen to that.
She's already listening to the investors' discussion.
Hey, you think maybe you guys can have somebody on that would show us how to get off-market deals?
So here's the thing, just like Hadar said, I
understand what he said about the brokerage, but I know there are other ways to find the mom and pops, right?
Right, but they're not gonna be on like meetups and explaining about how he could bring any off-market deals. It will probably be behind the door talk, even though we all know who's gonna be bringing what.
Okay.
He will probably wanna just talk to you, like behind the door, like, okay, I have this and that, because it's only when you say it's not truly off-market per se to me.
Well, I'm saying like people who are in trouble or distressed properties, so to speak, as opposed to going through a broker, maybe the assessor's office or somewhere around there, or if there's another way you're going about it. I see Liam shaking his head. I know
that could be cool. I think that could be cool too.
So next time,
but I know there are other ways that I don't know about. I would like to learn.
So next meetup, we're gonna bring in a broker. His name is Alex Olson. He's in Kansas City.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the rock star broker in Kansas City. His company also does multifamily investing, but at the same time, he brings the deals to other people. So pros and cons, we think the ones he brings in might be the ones that it does not fit their criteria, so that they were bringing in to us. But at the same time, still is a good deal flow. So Alex, what Nico and I were talking was we could probably use the next meetup session as like the way we could do the deep dive into like how to talk to the broker and how we could get the deal flow, maybe you could ask those kind of questions, like how do you talk to a broker in a way so that I could get more like a distressed property, or is there any ways do
you have to go through a broker, or is there another way of finding a mom and pop or somebody who's in distress without going through a broker?
So there's another way, like Nico, I think you wanna talk on that.
I'm just looking at it because maybe you could, I'm looking more like the seller finance route that way.
Oh, Alex Olson, I think many of his properties are done through seller financing. So he's gonna also talk about
great,
being a broker and seller financing and how to approach without
Yes.
being as like a tire, looking as a tire kicker, but as a more serious guys, and also talk about seller financing options.
Yes.
So that's something that we're going to delve into. But I know, Nico, were you trying to talk about something on
Yeah,
that?
sorry. So instead of doing like a direct mail marketing campaign, and instead of doing, sending out letters, there's a way to get all the data of like of what the of apartment buildings, right? So they do something called web scraping, where you can hire somebody to get all the information for you of specific criteria that you're looking for. I'm actually trying to do it right now, so I don't know the full process. But if I were to learn it or get somebody that knows how to do it, like Dan Hanford, you can look up one of his website, one of his webinars where he teaches or shows how that he does web scraping. There's not an exact way that he does it, but through web scraping, you can get like a whole list of just owners' names and contact information, and then you can reach out to them, by calling. And you can make it specific where like I'm looking for 20 to 50 units from 1980s to what and earlier, and owned for the past 5 years, so at least, so they didn't just buy it and flip it, those kind of things.
What do you call it? Web scraping?
Yeah. So like you
Yeah.
can go onto Fiverr.com and just search web scraper. And
Is it also like a skip skip tracer?
then there's also skip tracing too.
Yeah, I know what skip tracing is.
Yeah.
So on Fiverr, like depending on where you hire from, like if you want to keep it in the United States, you're going to pay more for it. But I've got a VA that I've used in the past out of like Sri Lanka for $3 an hour who'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hook
cool.
it up. Who's
Yeah, really?
I mean, it's
Nice.
and all those lists that he gives you are going to be like, I mean, I know the guy too, right? So it's a little more helpful for me. Right? I know that what he gives me is going to be accurate. A lot of times people will just go and download a list from somewhere else, and it'll be an old list that was good 10 years ago that may not be pertinent anymore. But that's something to keep in mind if you do, like if you hire somebody to scrape the web. With Fiverr, you can actually they automatically record some of their screen time while they're working on your stuff, so you can check to make sure they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. Just fun facts for you.
Yeah, I think I'll ask Dan tomorrow.
What about Upworks he uses too? He uses to find guys like that.
Yep, same
That's
deal.
another source, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so that could be one way to find the owner's direct information, and you do. So it's more of sort of like extension of direct mailing to the owners, I guess.
Hey, Jimmy, remind me tomorrow to ask Dan.
Yep.
About that, please.
Right, but my experience is that a lot of times the series owners, they have somebody. It's like even though they're not sellers brokers, but some middle guy who always wants some service fee, like 1% or 2 or 3%.
Okay.
What we could do was, if the deal is good enough, even to add the 2%, it still makes sense. Just like Hadar said, we're fine with that. Sometimes we'll just sell the seller that let's split the service fee, like a percentage. Or what we did was last time, we just straight put like 2% service fee to be paid by the seller. The seller would come back with a little higher asking price. and then he will to make the difference. So it didn't really make the much difference, but I guess it's way of just framing a letter of intent that way.
Gotcha.
All right, guys. It was a great meetup.
Yes.
Again, thank you for coming, Aaron. Thank you for coming.
See you guys next week.
Your daughter is lovely, and yeah, next one will be a good one for you guys.
Next Wednesday, right?
Next, so it's gonna be 2 weeks later. When is that?
Well, this one got delayed from the 29th.
I know. So 19th.
Oh,
19th.
Next one, the 19th.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Right. And he's from Kansas City, so it's good. If Liam, you could get connected with him too.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the next one lined up as Nico's connection, that he's a lender, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna get deep dive into like the lending atmosphere after COVID, etc.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
You guys are great.
See you in
Thanks
2
a lot,
weeks.
man.
Thank you,
you,
Leon.
guys.
Thank you,
Take care,
Aaron.
my friend.
See you next time, guys.
Aaron, take
Thanks,
care of
Leon,
that baby,
Bob.
my
Bye.
friend.
Enjoy, Aaron.
Take care,
Enjoy,
guys.
Aaron, with
Bye-bye, guys.
the moment with your daughter, okay?
Thanks, guys.
Bye.